Hello, world. How are you? Colette here today talking about creativity. And are you creative? That is the first thing I want to know. Do you class yourself as a creative individual? Do you think creatively? Or are you one of those people that says they're not creative at all, or you say you don't have a creative bone in your body? I'm really interested in this question and in how people define creativity and how they identify with the creative process. Very often, people see creativity as something that is abstract or separate to themselves, when in actual fact, creativity is just part of being human. We can't separate ourselves from it, it is who we are. Creative thinking is essentially solving problems. Anytime you ask the question, how can I? You are activating the creative part of your brain. So anytime you have a problem, you automatically jump to, how can I? Now, this is where creatives tend to separate themselves. People feel that they don't belong in the creative space. And it's simply that when the challenge is too big or too unknown or too uncertain, they step away from, more likely to step away from it and move on to something else. Whereas the creative brain is more likely to be excited by or intrigued by a problem that appears unsolvable. And that is generally the biggest difference between the two types of people. Obviously, there's more than two types of people, but people who classify themselves as either creative or non-creative. And if we were to look at it on a linear spectrum and say you're either really creative or not at all creative, that would be very much how it would be defined. But creativity is not that simple. It just doesn't work that way. You can be creatively mathematical. You can be creative with science. In fact, science wouldn't exist without creative thinking. You can be a gardener and have incredible creative insight into how to grow plants and how to solve weeding problems or bug problems. You can be creative in the world of tech. You can be creative in the world of admin. I am not an administrator by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the creative administrators that solve the problems for other administrators. But administration is very often not viewed as a creative pursuit, but it can be. And this is the key thing that I think is so important when we're looking at creativity and how we can access it and use it more. If, for example, you come across a problem and you think, oh, I don't know how to do that, and you end there, that is a wonderful opportunity for you to stretch your creative thinking, pause and think, how can I? Right? Now, I personally believe, and I've said for many, many years, that every problem has a solution. And it's true. And I hear other people saying it too. Other creative people will say every problem has a solution. That doesn't mean that the solution is easy to find. It doesn't mean that there is only one solution. It doesn't mean that the solution will even be found in your lifetime. But it does mean that there is a solution somewhere, because every problem is fundamentally solvable. That's just the root of creativity. You start with that idea that the problem can be solved. And just by knowing that it can be solved, you find a way to solve it. When you think back to last century, something like this phone was science fiction. It was something that was only imagined. But along the way, enough people thought, this is a good idea. How can we make this happen? How can I make this happen? How can I use this technology and apply it to that technology to create this? Over time, it is the culmination of ideas and of people asking, this is a good idea. How can we achieve it? That gives us the spaces and the technology and the gardens and the homes and the heating solutions that we have today. Creativity is not simply artistry. Artistry is just one expression of creativity. It's not the only way that we can express ourselves. If you're looking for a way today to try and be more creative, I have a very small and simple exercise for you. You just need some paper and a pen. Oh, look at that. When I do that, I block the light and you can see my green screen. Ooh. So get some paper and a pen. And all you have to do on your bit of paper is somewhere on it, I just want you to draw a shape, right? It can be any shape, any size on any part of the paper. Okay, right? That's all you're going to do. Next, I want you to do another shape somewhere on the page. There's no rules here, right? Just anything you like, you can put it on the page anywhere you like. Okay. And they can be big, they can be small, it doesn't matter. Okay. And then I want you to do the same again. One shape somewhere. It can be the same as the ones you've already got. It can be different. It doesn't matter. You can just do any kind of thing that you like anywhere on the page. It doesn't have to look good. That's not the point of this exercise. Like I say, creativity is not about artistry. Now, your goal now is to set yourself a timer and for 1 minute. And during the course of that minute, I want you to fill as much of the page as you can around the shapes, but you're not allowed to take your pen off the paper. Okay. So I'm going to do it now. I'm going to set my own timer and I have no idea what I'm going to create. That's also the point. Creativity is not about the result. It's about the process. It's about the solving of the problem. The outcome, that's completely separate. That's the result of creativity. And that's what this exercise does. I'm just trying to find my timer. Where is it? Where is it? Not stopwatch. Timer. There you go. So I used to do this exercise for 2 minutes, but for the purposes of today, I'll do it at 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to go start. I'm going to put my pen somewhere on the page. I'm going to just start randomly here. I'm going to hit start and I'm just going to doodle, right? You can doodle in straight lines, curly lines, you can zigzag, you can go all the way around. But the whole goal is to try and fill as much of the page as possible without touching any of the shapes, but to surround as much of the shapes as you can with your whatever your doodling is. Now, at the end of this exercise, if everybody who did it shared their work, not one of us would have the same image. It would be completely different every single time. And from this image, we can do anything we desire. We can color it, we can add to it, we can remove things from it if we want to, we can stick things over it, we can get quite creative with it. But the point is that even though we are all doing exactly the same thing, not one of us is going to have the same result because every single one of us has created a separate problem. So this is what I have created. Can I show you there? It's just a completely... It's just a pattern, right? There's nothing to it, right? But I could add to that if I wanted. I could take that off in a direction. I could create a piece of artwork from it if I wanted. I could paint it. I could add more lines to it. I could use other colors. There are so many things I could do with it that if I wanted. But the point is that you, if you did this exercise, will have a completely different image to the one that I have. So on that note, I want you to just hold it in your mind that you are creative. The only thing stopping you is the how can I question. If you stop before you ask that question, that's the only thing that separates you from creative thinking. And if you want to be more creative, the only things you have to do is ask yourself, how can I, more often than you currently do, and I can do this too, obviously we all can, and to go out and just make something. It can be a meal out of leftovers. You could write a poetry. You could create a new word by combining two disconnected words. You can, I don't know, you can do something, just create something, make something. You can paint something, write something, draw something, solve a problem, do some math. That is creativity. I'll see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.